your praise. Hey, good boy. That's a good boy. Nice, good boy. What's a tertiary reward? You're out of the crate and we're working. I want them to enjoy working for the sake of working. Like in kindergarten, learning your ABCs, you're getting M&M. But in college, hopefully you're liking learning for the sake of learning, not necessarily because you're getting a treat. I want my dogs to get to the point where I always pay my dog, but I'm working because you and I are together in this. I don't want it to be like I said yesterday, like, say you love me, say you love me. I don't want it to be like that. I want them to say, I want to work. I want to work. Working is fun. And then you have a great relationship. So in protection, what we do, we start off with barking makes movement. Barking makes movement. We teach them how to switch from defense to prey. All bites are in prey. And we don't teach them rules. So my process is very easy and linear in my brain. I don't know if Steve will remember this or Nat will remember this. So they come onto the field just barking like idiots on the harness. They're just coming in. They don't even know anything. They're just learning. You probably won't even remember this. Barking makes movement. Barking. Then I'm in the blind. I'll probably have the fence there or a barrier. They come in. They learn to bark. I have that fence I put in front of the blind with 2 chairs. So now I take being dirty out of the equation. So we're not working on offense and defense like I talked about yesterday. I'm only working on just how to bark. And I give them a bite over the fence. Now I'm like, okay, Steve, your dog is getting to be a lot of dog. Let's teach it our first rule. I don't want to teach the rule too early. I want the dog to say protection's Disneyland. Like I said, it's not the stained glass church. Remember the example I used with the kids running up and down the pews. So now, Steve, we're going to give our first rule. You're going to come to the call-out position. You'll have the harness line, and you'll have a short line on the prong. And you'll say, bear, sit, pop, sit, fought on. So he says, oh, when I sit, it means be quiet, and I get to go get barking again. So, wow, okay. If I sit when he says sit, right away, Steve sends him in. Sit, pop, revere. Or he can even mark it, yes, and the dog comes in and barks. Then we're going to throw a bridge in. Sit, good. He barks, no. Sit, good. Good. Revere. So he's now learning to wait. The second rule that we teach is the sit look. So Bear's getting good at this. He comes in, goes to the call out. He hears the word sit. The dog caps immediately. Notice what I said, capped, not leaks. He didn't have to suppress it. The dog already knows how to cap. Now we ask for a look. Now he's like, now rule number 2. Sit, Bear. Bear. Nope. Revere. Right when he looks at me and he goes, okay, eye contact. Then we do a right turn pivot. I won't give you the whole program. This is how we start introducing the rules. But the rules are fun. It's not just beat up the dog. It's not like zzz, 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 zzz. The rules are fun. So then we do a right turn pivot. Remember, right turn with a little bit of pressure now. Sit, look, good. Revere. So now the dog learns to move with me. Then we'll go around the blind. I won't go over all the rules of the program because that'd take 10 days. But I want you to understand it's a very linear process. I know there's other programs, but you're here for my program. There's other programs that are probably better than mine. They do, I call it an all-inclusive program. They teach everything sloppily and they tighten it up as the dog gets better. That's just not the way my brain works. I'm not teaching subtraction till you know addition, multiplication. It's just not how my brain works. And it works for them. I'm definitely not putting that down. You know, they just teach. So I'm like, why would I even teach my dog foos if I don't have a relationship? That's just mine. If you don't like to play with me or you don't like to be with me, why am I even teaching this? So we do a lot of this. Like I said, Javier is the best at this. He'll get that 6-foot line, he'll just wait. The dog's sniffing, he doesn't say anything. The dog finally looks at him. Yes, yes, yes. So we do that a lot where the dog pushes the human to do something. Not me push you. That's important in protection too. I have done some dogs in protection because the Bob example that I will never do again. I've seen some dogs and I might be able to get it through defense, but I want the dogs to be having fun. If they're not having fun, what are we doing? They should be having fun doing protection. And if they're not liking it, Just like some kids want to play the piano, some want to box. That parent that forces that kid to box that has a musical mind, he might box, but he'll become neurotic. That's not even in his name. He doesn't like it. So if my dog doesn't like protection, why am I doing it? Now, I think all dogs should do obedience. And what do I tell my basic obedience classes? The greatest insurance you have for your dog, the greatest insurance is your obedience. Do you know Pastor Brian when he was at Enclave? Our pastor at Enclave church, he was moving, and he was a friend of mine, and he said, Joel, do you know anybody that wants, I forget his dog's name, it was a black lab. Do you know anybody that wants Rex, whatever his name was? I didn't say this, but I thought, so a dog that digs, doesn't come when it's called, shows aggression. No, I don't know anybody. But I guarantee, like Natalie, like Joel, I got to get rid of Rogue. I'll find her a home right now. It won't even be a problem. You have a dog with great obedience, they will not be in a shelter. Everybody will pick that dog up. You have an out of control. I always tell people, that's why all dogs should do obedience. Not all can do protection, but all dogs should do obedience. And my helper, Gowan, no one knows Gowan, do they? You know Gowan.
I've seen that, yeah.
He was my helper for years. So he had a home invasion robbery in Modesto, and they had a plastic bag over his mouth. He spoke very little English there. He's Asian, he's from Thailand, and he said they don't know if they were looking, he lived with his aunt that's a pharmacist, if they're looking for drugs, if a lot of Asians don't trust banks, he said, so they keep the money in the house, or it was random. They don't know. But they had a plastic bag over his head. They were laughing. They pistol whipped. It looked like a Jeffrey Dahmer scene in his kitchen. Just blood everywhere. Pistol whipped him until he thought he was dead. Plastic bag, couldn't breathe with a gun in his mouth. Tell me that wouldn't like give you a lot. So anyway, he was very quiet when he came out. His English is pretty good now. That was 9 years ago. But he got a dog named Aya. And I pulled him aside, and he's very quiet. And he told me what happened. He said, I need a protection dog because my aunt does not believe in guns. She won't get a gun. I said, even a shotgun without bullets, just make that sound? He goes, no. I'm like, okay. I won't get into the politics with you and your aunt. And he said, but I got a German Shepherd, and I want to do protection. So he brings out this show sweet German Shepherd. I'm trying prey. This dog's just looking at me. I said, let me try defense. Let me just try another drive. I won't keep her in defense. I want to see if I can kick it into prey, though, because I have done that. Put a dog in defense. They're like, hey, I run there. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting. What just happened? So I put the dog on the square table, trying to get her in defense. She's looking at me. So I whipped her little foot with the whip. And she went, why'd you do that? And I'm like, come here, love. Come here, honey. I'm patting her. I'm like, Gowan, this is not meant to be. Let this be your couch potato, and we love her. And I think she just died recently. He kept her. Let me get you something genetically for this. Well, his next dog was a monster. His next dog was great. So I like, let's talk about bloodlines, and I'll find you a really good dog. But if they can't do it, it's unethical. You know what I mean? It's not fair. And I won't. It's not fair. But all dogs should do obedience. And all dogs, I think almost all dogs can track. I think almost all dogs can track. And if your dog's enjoying tracking's fun. That's a great phase. So, have you heard of a guy named Tim Cutter? Yeah, he was my helper for 9 years, 8 years, because he went to Cal State Stanislaus here in Sherlock, and he wanted to learn dog sport, dog training. So he was with me, and he had this show Doberman named Leo, and the dog could not do protection. It was the same thing. But Tim was a really good handler, like special, like he was special. And I said, do an obedience title and a tracking title, so you kind of learn how the things work. Protection, that'll come later with genetics. And he ended up getting a 96 on obedience 1. I was like, man, this guy's good. That Doberman had great obedience. Learned tracking. Well, the second dog, he was on, a national level competitor. But if they wouldn't have had tracking and obedience, they probably would have got out of the sport. So I because I was against not having protection in the sport, but now I think it was a smart choice that people did. You can just get a tracking obedience title. Yeah. Because if they can't do protection, that's unethical. But still have fun in the sport, learn to track and do all that stuff. All right, does anybody have questions?